What's up, my people? It is Monday. It is 8:30, which means it is time for Conversations with Teresa. Thank you so much for joining. It is always a pleasure and an honor to have you on. It's also really, really cool when I hear people say, oh, thanks for talking about that, or thanks for bringing that up, or anything like that. And again, my whole goal about talking about perimenopause is so that it becomes normalized. We don't necessarily want to normalize all of our, you know, things that are happening to us all the time, but the conversation absolutely needs to be normalized because it's happening to us, whether we like it or not, whether we are expecting it or not. It is happening. And so, therefore, I want to bring it out into the open, and I want to be a catalyst to really help you to feel great about yourself and know that there's something that you can do about it. And the one of the first steps, if we had to think about a step, one of the first steps that we can do in this arena is, again, talking about it, having something to say, knowing that, okay, if I can get it out, you're more likely to be able to deal with it and deal with it successfully. So that is just part of my goal. And I'm really hoping that this helps. I believe I already see that it's helping a lot of people. It's also helping me. And it's actually one of the things I want to talk about tonight. A few weeks ago, I did a presentation, and I talked about we had a little game. We had a menopause bingo, and there are or perimenopause bingo, and we had so many. I don't know. I came. It was something like 35 or 40 different symptoms that you could get bingo with, and we know some of what those symptoms are. Uh, Hot flashes. That's definitely one, but sometimes it could be the migraines, it could be the heavy periods, it could be depression, it could be high blood pressure, it could be weight gain. There's so many different things, but I'm not sure if this was on my bingo sheet. We talked about emotion, but a very specific emotion that I want to talk about tonight is rage, you know? And I gotta say, it was one of the things that caught me completely off guard. If you know me, or you get a chance to know me, I'm a pretty happy go lucky type of person. I am pretty even keeled about things. Not a lot of things rile me up a lot, but ooh, this weekend, Lord have mercy on my soul, this weekend, I skipped irritation. I skipped frustration. I went straight to the rage, and it was not pretty. It was like one of those full blown beating on the door type thing. I did not even recognize the sound that was coming out of my mouth. I definitely didn't recognize it. It was not normal that I felt my hand hurting because I'm banging up against the wall. I was full out in a unrecognizable rage to myself. And that was not a, a proud moment for me. Um, yeah, it was hard. It was hard, not just for me, it was definitely hard for my family to see. And it really did. It shook me for a minute. It shook me. And I was like, this is not good. I knew that regardless of the fact that I was tired, I've been tired most of my life, right? Besides the fact that, my kids were tired. They're tired all the time, right? Because they work really hard. I'm being a little sarcastic, but right, we're tired. That happens. This was something that came out of the depths of my soul, and it was something. I am confident that if anyone in my neighborhood was around, I know they heard it. Um, and I gotta say, it was one of those times where I thought that when it first happened, I was like, the banging on the door, I was like, okay, no, that's not acceptable. I'm not going to do that anymore. And I'm still having conversation with my kids. And I found myself doing it again. I kicked the door. Right. I don't know if I've ever done that. And like I said, it was just something that shook me. And it was just, like I said, not a pretty moment. So again, like I just felt like myself was hijacked. My voice, my physical, my like just I the worst part about it was seeing them in my reaction, seeing my children and just they just didn't even know what to do. I didn't know what to do, because it's not who I am. It's not how I parent, you know? And that's when I realized that it wasn't just irritation, like I said, it wasn't just stress. This was a symptom, and it was like a hormonal storm that came. I don't even remember it brewing up. Sometimes you can see the storm and you can see, the clouds and they're rolling in and things like that. I didn't see it. It was just something that I went from saying something to next thing I know, I'm banging on a door. It gosh, I cannot stress enough how unpretty it was. And this is one of those things where we don't talk about, I don't know if people talk about it a lot. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it. It's just one of those like quick things that someone may say, but this anger, this rage, it felt like a volcano. All these years it was just kind of calm and like, okay, that's what happened. That's what happened. But it was replaced by just eruption. I could not explain. And it's still hard to explain. So again, we talk about why does it happen? We know that estrogen and other hormones, the estrogen helps to regulate our mood. And apparently mine dipped a lot. It dipped a lot over the weekend. And I can somewhat laugh about it right now, but it's not funny. It's not funny to feel like you don't have control of yourself. And I know that so many of us could be feeling that. We could be feeling like I'm losing it. And I've talked a lot about losing it in the sense of whether it's not feeling confident or feeling like I'm don't have enough words to say or things like that. But I personally, I just hadn't experienced that losing it in that physical, that whole body way. And when we do that, we have to remind ourselves that we are not crazy. Most of all, we are not broken. We're not a bad mom. We're not a bad partner. We're not a bad friend, but we are changing and we're changing on the inside. Our hormones are shifting in our body is just adapting to the things that are going on. And the truth is that it's you, as the person that you know yourself to be, you are still there. You are still in there. So underneath the tears, the outbursts, or the exhaustion, you are still you, that wonderful you. And there may be times where you have to kind of dip in and dip out of you, but you are still you. And I don't want you to think that you are lost or that you are, like I said, you're not broken. You are becoming a different person. I am becoming a different person from this time. Um, how do I deal with it? So from this time, I've talked to my husband. I've talked to friends. I oddly enough, I was on my way to church before I had this. incredible eruption. I get to church and people are like, "How you doing?" I'm like, "This is not a good morning. It's not a good morning." And I had to get it out. So if you can't tell, I like to talk. This is how I work out things, by talking it through. And so, what I did, for me, one of the things that helps me deal with it, again, besides regulating emotions or regulating hormones, it's really talking it through. That's kind of my thing. And so we sat down with the family, and I apologized again and again about my outburst. I apologized for what they saw. I apologized for having, I don't know, I left a mark. That's all I can say. I left a mark on them of, oh, a couple of my kids was like, you may have gotten frustrated before, but I haven't seen that before. To the point where my kids came up to me and then they were like, never mind. They understood that it was not a good time to talk. So I did. I apologized. We talked through feelings and all of that stuff. And it's helpful. It is helpful. That is one of the things that's helpful for me, is to talk it through. And one of my children, who I appreciate, I mean, I appreciate all my children, but one of them was very upfront, like, I told you, blah 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 blah, you know. And I felt like, Mom, I felt like you weren't listening. I felt like you couldn't hear what I was saying. And I was like, oh, I didn't think about that. I Of how they were trying to approach me. I was just all up in my rage. All up in my rage. So anyway, that is one way of being able to deal with it. Talk about it, and really recognize that this is not who you are. It is not who I am. Uh, I have no intention of doing this again, but it could happen. It could very, very well happen, but that's not my plan. It's not my plan to live in rage or accept that that is okay. So I had to make time through my talk, time to breathe, time just to kind of be still and to give myself some grace. I know that this is a moment in time, or it could be a longer moments in time, but it doesn't have to take me over, and it doesn't have to take you over. And one of the things that I also think about is that I can't pretend that it's not happening, right? I things are going to come at me that I'm not expecting. And so it's happening. I'm going to accept it, and I'm going to roll with it, and I'm going to fix it. I'm not going to let that be the defining moment when I have my breakdown, or, as my kids say, I think I'm saying it the right way, I crashed out. They got a little tickle out of that when I said that. So at any rate, ladies, I want you guys to know that you're not alone. For the men who are listening, understand that's not the way that we want to be. All right. So let's not carry this in silence. Let's be open about it. However you deal with it. I definitely cried, and, I'm going to church and wiping my eyes because I hurt my family in my rage. And yeah, you know, there were some things, some contributing factors that didn't help it to go well. But that rage, that was on me. And for a moment, because that is not me. And I won't accept it as being me. And you don't have to either. So it's in your power to navigate this. All right. And I want to make sure that you understand menopause is real. Perimenopause is real. All of this is some stuff that we need to deal with. And you have to figure out, how are you going to deal with it? All right. How is your family going to deal with it? It's unbelievable sometimes, some of the symptoms. And like I said, I like to be lighthearted and, things like that. But this one really shook me. I could not have anticipated. what happened this weekend. Again, I'm not proud of it, but I'm also not broken. I am becoming something else. I had a great talk with my family. I think that they understand even more how much I am for them. I think they understand that moms make mistakes too. Moms have weak points too. Moms could blow up too, but we can get back, we can get it back together. We can pull our family back together, and we can be the person that we are becoming, which is even better than who we were just even a couple of days ago. So anyway, I am really sure that this helped some people. I know that it helped me. And I do not want to go through that weekend or that again, but I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at the fact that I am becoming something better. The next time I may feel that, I think it will be for a shorter time, because I'm going to be like, no, 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 that's not me. I know that's not me. And I'm going to pull it back together quickly. And if it, I might need some friends or some family to help me out, but I know that it's not me falling apart. It is, again, me becoming the better version of myself. So, with that, I wish you all an incredible rest of your Monday and your week. If this helped at all, please let me know. I want to be as open and transparent as humanly possible. I want to make sure that people are not suffering by themselves. And I want to make sure that you know that I got your back. All right. So come talk to me, DM me, email me. Definitely like this page, like this video, and I will absolutely be sharing with you more and more how we are overcoming perimenopause, the symptoms. It's not going to take us out. All right. Have an incredible rest of your Monday and have a great night. Conversations with Teresa. Bye bye.